commemorate the release of The Bad Guys, we've compiled a list of our favorite animated bad guys who either gave us nightmares as kids or made us feel terrified in the best possible ways. Let the jury begin.
I alone have information that reveals this weapon's only weakness. And you, my friend, are responsible for delaying my rendezvous with Star Command.
Toy Story. Did you ever wonder about your toys talking and living another life while escaping your eye? Well, Toy Story converts our imagination into reality. Let me tell you the charges and their punishment of the villains of the Toy Story sequel, Al McWhiggin.
From Al's Toy Barn, and I'm sitting here. Ow! I think I'm feeling a deal action right now. Whoa, let's see what we got.
Talking about the villain story too, Al McWhiggin makes his first entry in the movie during a TV commercial for Al's Toy Barn, advertising toys. He is the selfish owner of Al's Toy Barn and an avid toy collector who steals Woody to sell the Woody's Roundup group to Tokyo for cash. Buzz Lightyear, Mr. Potato Head, Slinky Dog, Rex, and Ham, Woody's companions, spotted Al stealing their friend and went outside to save Woody and bring him home. As mentioned, they rescued their friend right before Al's flight to Tokyo. Al appears for the last time again in the TV commercial for Al's Toy Barn, this time crying over the loss of the toys, saying that his store has gone bankrupt and he's broke. The theft charges could cause him 6 months of prison punishment with a fine of more than $1,000. And for lying multiple times, he could get the punishment of 1 year. Stinky Pete.
Hold it, tarnation!
I call for help!
You're fanning the flames, Jesse. It takes brains to put out that fire. Yo, my biscuits are burning.
Talking about the second villain of Toy Story 2, Stinky Pete is one of the two primary antagonists of Al McWhiggin. We were introduced to him when Woody got stolen by Al McWhiggin. He grew bitter, selfish, and resentful after spending his entire life on a dime shop shelf and never being purchased or played with by a child. Eventually, Al McWhiggin purchased him. When Al discovered that the museum was interested in Woody's Roundup gang collection, he assembled them. Stinky Pete becomes friends with Jessie and Bullseye while waiting for Woody. As we know, he hid who he was, but he had every intention of stopping Woody from returning to his owner Andy. He even went so far as to sabotage Woody's escape by turning on the TV to wake Al, then immediately placing the blame on Jessie. He was also immoral, as we prove by the fact that he reopened the old rip in Woody's arm and threatened to tear him apart, all in the name of achieving his aim of toys escaping damage from children in the perpetual museum existence. Pete can easily be charged with 5 years of prison punishment due to his double dealing and constant fabrications. And for breaking Woody's arm, he may also face 15 years in prison. Despite his nasty disposition, I think Stinky Pete was harmed by rejection and unappreciation, and he probably wouldn't have been bad if he'd just been owned by a child from the start. Sid.
Who's that? Is Sid.
Really dangerous.
He's lighting it!
Let me tell you about the villain of the first part of Toy Story, Sid. He is an 11-year-old skate freak who is young, brash, and a little disturbed. His concept of fun is teasing Hannah, his younger sister, by stealing her toys and using them in horrible experiments like switching their heads or conducting operations on them. He also ruins toys in many ways, exploding, burning, or in his mad doctor plays. However, he may possess a positive side, as shown by his dreams about ponies. When his toys turned against him halfway through the film, he promised never to hurt a toy again. Except for this, Sid stayed unchanged and eventually worked as a sanitation worker, particularly considering his love of heavy metal. Sid is not a true villain because when he broke the toys, he was unaware that they were alive, but since this movie is from the perspective of the toys, he is still viewed as a bad guy. As he was such a disturbance to people, he could get a year in jail. And for changing the original shape of toys, he could get the punishment of at least 6 months in jail. Lotso.
I can see daylight! We're gonna be okay!
Hey!
I don't think that's daylight.
Lotso is the villain of Toy Story 3. He is a cruel, vicious, sadistic, mocking, deceitful, clever tyrant and jail warden who rules Sunnyside with an iron fist. He locks up new toys in the Caterpillar room, where they endure the crazy young toddlers, all while he relaxes in the Butterfly room. This behavior was a result of his belief that Daisy had abandoned him. Chuckles claims that Lotso was once a good toy and a companion, but they were accidentally abandoned, and Lotso soon realized himself to be replaced. According to Lotso, since toys are nothing special and are meant to be thrown away with no chance of being loved, he then started making others feel his pain. Now talking about the charges, Lotso could get more than a year in prison as punishment for disturbing others' peace. He could also get more than 15 years of jail for making his law and punishing others. Up.
Hi, Mr. Fredrickson. It's me, Russell.
What are you doing out here, kid?
I found the snipe and I followed it under your porch.
Did you ever wonder about living a life in the woods or mountains with the love of your life? Well, this movie might be full of some of your desires. Charlez Muntz says he was an explorer and villain at the same time. Strange. Charles F. Muntz is the main villain of the movie Up.
Yeah. In a house? A floating house?
In the film, he played a renowned explorer who Carl Fredrickson and his late wife Ellie loved as children. He discovered the bones of a tropical bird in South America, as shown in the film, but the scientific community considered them fake. Frustrated, Muntz explores the South American wilderness for a live specimen of the same bird species while flying in a zeppelin with his numerous dogs, which he dresses with custom-made speaking collars. Later in the movie, when he runs across Carl and Russell, he offers to host them for dinner in his zeppelin and tells them about his search for such a rare bird. They have the same bird. Muntz sends his canines after them because he believes they are trying to claim credit for the bird's existence after Russell declares that Kevin is his pet and the bird he is hunting for. By persuading Kevin to fly over a cliff, Carl, Russell, and Doug can escape, but Alpha hurts her leg. Russell is left at home with 3 dog-piloted planes that Muntz sent to shoot them down, while Carl and Kevin are caught by Muntz and start fighting. Muntz lost his respect as master after beating Doug. Then Doug started helping Charles. Charles follows Doug, Russell, and Kevin as they go to Carl's floating house and attempt to bring the house down with a hunting rifle. He could get charged with almost 6 months of punishment in prison for trying to kill the endangered species with more than $25,000 as a fine. He could also get the punishment of more than 10 years in punishment for trying to kill Carl. Coco.
It's you. You're gonna get me in trouble, Daddy. Someone could hear me. I wish someone wanted to hear me. Other than you.
Did you ever think of your friend as your biggest enemy? It would be best if you didn't think like that either, but this animated movie is about getting cheated on by a friend, which led to the entire trauma of Miguel's grandmother as she had to live her childhood without knowing anything about his father, whether he was dead or alive. Ernesto De La Cruz.
I'm sick, and I packed up my songs. You want to give up now when we're this close to reaching our dream?
This was your dream. You'll manage.
I can't do this without your songs, Hector.
I'm going home, Ernesto. Hate me if you want, but my mind is made up.
Well, we can't make you emotional over a video about villains, so please hold up your tears. Talking about the charm and beauty of a villain, he could be a man that every girl dreamed of but couldn't make it because of his evil intentions. While he may seem charming and charismatic, Ernesto De La Cruz is deep down bitter, cruel, and a downright sociopath. Ernesto was selfish and desperate in life to the point of being a rank opportunist. His ambition drove him to murder his best friend Hector, who wanted to go home to his family and steal his songbook and guitar to achieve fame and glory. He was even arrogant enough to hide this secret in one of his films, which led to his exposure and eventual downfall. Digging deep into the movie, Hector, the original grandfather Miguel, begins getting homesick and misses his wife and daughter and attempts to return home to them. However, Ernesto poisoned Hector by slipping it into his tequila. As he made his way to the train station, Hector felt the pain in his stomach. Succumbing to the poison, Hector then woke up dead. This villain could get more than 35 years to kill his friend. And for stealing someone else's talent, he could get a punishment of 10 years. Cars 3.
Hey, Bobby. Who is that?
That's, Jackson Strom.
Yeah, He's one of the rookies.
Last but not least, if you're a fan of Cars 3, you better know the meaning of being arrogant over nothing that could make you ashamed of your behavior. Jackson Strom.
It's Jackson Strom for the win.
Jackson Strom is the main antagonist in Cars 3. Strom possesses an enormous ego, and he is representative of his next racing generation as a whole. Knowing full well that he is capable of incredible abilities, Strom takes little notice of other competitors, believing they are no threat to him. Many fellow racers view his cocky demeanor as off-putting. When Sally came to see McQueen's final race, she saw Strom interacting with Cruz before they got on the track in a mean way, and she viewed him as a jerk. Strom became very angry in times of weakness, and when Cruz Ramirez moved to pass him during the Florida 500, Jackson responded by violently slamming her against a wall. Now talking about the crimes, Trash Talk could let Strom a penalty of 1 year in jail with a fine of $25,000. And for hurting someone, he could face 10 years in jail.